What happens when a royal refuses to stay silent and a television host refuses to back down? When old wounds are reopened under the glare of studio lights and personal pain becomes public spectacle. You are about to witness a confrontation that had producers sweating, audiences stunned, and a prince storming off live television. This was not just any interview. This was Prince Harry, sitting across from Piers Morgan, two men with very different truths and very little patience. The tension was there from the moment Harry walked onto the set. Cameras rolled, the room went quiet, and then, it began. Turned sharp. Accusations flew. It was not a calm exchange of opinions, it was a collision of pain, pride, and power. And before anyone could stop it, it spiraled into one of the most explosive showdowns ever broadcast. But what really caused it to blow up? Was it the years of royal tension that finally snapped? Was it the painful stories Harry shared about his wife and children? Or was it the one thing you should never bring up if you want Prince Harry to keep his composure? Was it the racism? The betrayal? The media attacks? Or something deeper that pushed him over the edge? You are about to hear every word, every blow, and every truth that came out during the clash that left audiences speechless and the internet on fire. So if you want the full story, the real story, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. And while you are here, tell us in the comments, what do you think really pushed Harry to his limit? Because once this starts, there is no going back. The studio lights were cold and bright, casting a sterile glow across the set. The audience sat in silence, waiting. Some leaned forward. Others held their breath. There was a kind of stillness, like the air before a storm. Behind the cameras, producers whispered into headsets. Every second felt heavier than the last. Piers Morgan was already in his seat, shuffling notes that he barely looked at. He did not need them. His expression was sharp, locked in, ready to go. This was not just another guest. This was Prince Harry, and Piers came prepared to hit where it hurt. Then Harry walked in, dressed in a simple suit. He moved with the confidence of someone used to being watched, but there was something else in his eyes. Not fear, but caution. He knew this was not going to be a friendly chat. He knew what Piers was capable of. Still, he gave a polite nod, sat down across from him, and waited. The audience clapped, but it faded fast. The room was quiet again. Then Piers spoke. "Your Royal Highness," he said, "let us not waste time. You have made some serious claims against your own family. Many believe you threw them under the bus. And for what? Money." Harry's jaw tensed. His response was calm, but the edge was already there. He said he came for an honest conversation, not to be attacked with tabloid lines. Piers smiled like he had been waiting for that answer. From there, it started to shift. The tone, the energy, the jabs came faster. The words got sharper. Microaggressions slipped through. Questions started, sounding more like accusations, and Harry too was holding back, but barely. His hands were clenched, his eyes focused. He had been through worse, but even so, something about this felt different. If you have not subscribed yet, now is the time, because what is coming next? It is going to get intense. Piers leaned forward in his chair, his tone already firm. He looked Harry straight in the eye and said, "Let us be honest. You have made a career out of tearing down the very family that gave you everything. The titles, the palaces, the spotlight. And now you want the world to feel sorry for you." Harry stayed still, but his jaw tightened again. He took a breath, then answered slowly. "I did not leave to tear anyone down. I left to protect my wife and my children. When you see the people you love being broken piece by piece, you have to make a choice." Piers did not flinch. He leaned back in his chair and raised his eyebrows. "You want us to believe that? You, born into privilege, into royalty, want us to think you were the one being hurt? You had everything, a silver spoon in your mouth since birth, private schools, armed security, global admiration. And the moment things got tough, you ran." Harry's voice stayed steady, but you could hear the frustration rising underneath. "You call it running, I call it surviving. When the people, who are supposed to protect you, refuse to help, when the system turns its back, what would you have me do? Stay silent and watch my wife fall apart? Watch history repeat itself?" The audience was silent, watching both men with wide eyes. The tension kept climbing. Piers shook his head. "Plenty of people face hard times. They do not all write books and sign Netflix deals. They do not all cash in on personal drama. You say you want privacy, but you sell the details of your life to the highest bidder." Harry leaned forward now, voice lower but firmer. "You think this is about money? You think I enjoyed watching my wife struggle with suicidal thoughts? You think I liked begging for help and being told it would damage the family image? This is not a business. This is our real life." Piers smirked. "And yet, here you are, sitting under studio lights, telling the world how badly you were treated. It does not look like privacy to me." Harry's response came fast. "I am speaking up because silence nearly killed us, because telling the truth might help someone else feel less alone. If that makes people uncomfortable, maybe they need to ask why." And just like that, the debate started shifting. It was no longer about headlines or contracts. It was about survival, about truth, about the difference between what you meant to do and how the world decided to see it. Harry's voice lowered, but the weight of his words made everyone lean in. There was a time, he said, when Meghan told me she did not want to live anymore. She was struggling, and she asked for help. We asked the institution, the people who were supposed to protect us, and we were told no, that it would not look good. The room was quiet. Even the camera crew seemed to pause. Piers crossed his arms and let out a short laugh. And now we are all supposed to feel sorry for you. You two were the golden couple. Lavish weddings, global tours, you had it all. But the moment things did not go your way, suddenly it is all about mental health. Suddenly, it is about racism. Harry's eyes flashed, but he stayed seated. It was always about that. You just did not want to see it. Oh, come on, Piers said, shaking his head. This is the classic play. When someone calls you out, when people start asking tough questions, just cry racism. Say the press is racist. Say the family is racist. It is the easiest way to shut people up. You think I want to talk about this? Harry said, his voice rising. You think I enjoy having to explain to the world why my wife was afraid for her life? You think I like reliving the moment someone inside my family asked what color our baby's skin might be? There were gasps from the audience. Some people looked down. Others stared at the floor. The energy in the studio turned cold and tight. Piers leaned forward. Do you even hear yourself? You are making claims with no names, no facts, no proof. Just enough smoke to ruin reputations. Is that really fair? Harry sat still for a long second, then he spoke. Maybe if people listened the first time, we would not need to keep repeating it. You think it is a trick. I call it survival. My wife was drowning, and no one reached out. If I had stayed silent, I do not know if she would still be here. Piers scoffed. And yet, you are still here, cashing in on it. Still playing the victim. Still acting like you are the only one who has ever had it rough. Harry shook his head. This is not a game. These are our lives, our children, and every time you treat it like a headline, you remind me why we had to leave. The audience was frozen. No claps, no laughter. Just tension so thick, it felt like the air itself was holding its breath. Harry's face changed a moment. Piers mentioned her name. Your mother, Diana Piers, said, his tone low but sharp. She would be ashamed of what you have become. She fought for this family. She carried her duty with grace. She never walked away. Harry froze. Then his hands clenched the arms of his chair. He leaned forward slowly, voice cold and tight. Do not you dare bring my mother into this. Piers raised an eyebrow. I knew her. I interviewed her. I saw the strength she had. And I know she would not have approved of all this. Harry stood up, not fast, not loud, but deliberate. The audience leaned forward, unsure what would come next. You knew her, he said. You talked to her a few times, and you think that gives you the right to speak for her. You do not know what she went through. You do not know the conversations we had. You were not there when she cried in private. You did not see what your media friends did to her. Piers stayed seated, but his eyes narrowed. Her death was tragic, yes. But it was a drunk driver, not a journalist, who killed her. Harry shook his head, his voice rising. You really believe that? You think she was not chased that night? You think she was not hunted for photos and headlines? That it was not your industry that made her believe she had no escape? The studio was silent. You could hear Harry breathing hard through the mic. Was just a boy when she died, he said, quieter now. And every time I close my eyes, I remember that tunnel. I remember the cameras, the flashes, the screams, and then the silence. Piers tried to shift. That is tragic. But you are using her name to justify turning on your family. You are turning her into a shield. Harry stepped closer. No, I am speaking the truth that she could not. I am standing up because she could not. And what makes me sick is knowing that people like you still make money from her story, from our grief, from our pain. Piers looked back at him, voice tight. You are doing the same thing. Book deals, TV specials, memoirs. That is not protecting her legacy. That is cashing in on it. Harry's voice cracked. I would trade every dollar for one more day with her. But that is not an option. So I am doing what I can to protect my family now, so that my wife and children do not end up destroyed the same way she was. The lights above them seemed to dim. The audience did not move. No applause. No reactions. Just two men, face to face, locked in something deeper than a debate. It was personal now, and no one could pretend it was just television anymore. The energy in the studio shifted. The tension was no longer simmering. It was boiling. Piers leaned in, eyes sharp. You want to talk about courage, he said. Let us talk about cowardice, because that is what this is. You ran when things got tough. You abandoned your family. You turned your back on duty. Harry stood still for a moment. Then he rose from his chair. Slowly, his hands were trembling. You think protecting my wife and children is cowardice? He asked, voice shaking. You think speaking the truth is betrayal? What kind of twisted logic is that? Piers fired back. You have made millions trashing your own blood. You have turned victimhood into a brand. That is not bravery, Harry. That is selfishness. Harry's eyes locked on Piers. Selfishness. I gave up everything I knew. My home, my title, my country. I stepped away from a machine that was chewing us up alive, and I did it to save my family. That is not selfish. That is survival. The audience was frozen. Nobody moved. Even the crew behind the cameras stopped what they were doing. You are not fit for the crown, Piers said, pointing now. You have no idea what duty means. You have no idea what sacrifice really looks like. Harry stepped closer, his voice calm but firm. Then watch me leave it behind. The words hung in the air. Final, cold, real. He turned, walked past the cameras, past the crew, past the stunned faces in the front row. No yelling, no drama, just steady steps toward the exit. The camera followed as he reached the door. He paused, hand on the frame, then looked back one last time. I would rather be free than live a lie, he said quietly. Then he was gone. Piers stood alone on the set. He tried to keep his face straight, tried to look smug. He cleared his throat and faced the camera, while he said, forcing a smile, "There you have it, Prince Harry." Walking away from another tough conversation, but his voice wavered, just a little. His smirk did not hold behind the cameras. His producer dropped their headset in disbelief. The control room was dead quiet. Everyone knew something had shifted. Harry had walked out, not in shame, not in defeat, but in choice. And for the first time all night, Piers Morgan looked unsure of what he had really won. The cameras cut. The red light faded, but the silence in the studio stayed heavy. Producers in the control room looked frozen. One of them had their hand over their mouth, headset still on, staring at the screen like they were not sure what just happened. The floor manager dropped the cue card mid-step. No one moved. In the audience, people whispered in low tones. A few gasped. Most just sat in stunned silence. No one clapped. No one cheered. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Piers cleared his throat, straightened his tie, forced a grin. "Well," he said, trying to sound casual. "There, you have it, Prince Harry." Walking away. Again, but his voice was different. Now something in his tone cracked. The words landed awkwardly. Even he knew it. Outside the studio, it took less than an hour for the clip to go viral. The walk-off, the stare-down. The line, "Then watch me leave it behind." People shared it across platforms. It trended in the US, the UK, Canada, Australia. News outlets picked it up. YouTube channels dissected every second. Body language experts got involved. Memes exploded. Polls launched within hours. One asked, "Who do you side with?" The results poured in fast. Some stood behind Harry, others backed Piers, but no one was neutral. This was no longer a TV moment. It was a cultural flashpoint. Something had changed, and everyone could feel it. So now that the dust has settled, we have to ask ourselves, what really happened? Was this just another celebrity outburst, or was it something bigger? This moment between Prince Harry and Piers Morgan was not just about personal jabs. It touched something deeper. It raised real questions about the cost of speaking out, about how much someone should have to carry before they say, enough. There was mental health on one side, the weight of trauma, the fear of history repeating itself. And on the other side, there was public duty, tradition, the expectation to stay silent, no matter the storm. It was also about media power. Who gets to tell the story? Who decides what is real and what is performance? Was it about freedom of speech, or was it about crossing a line? And maybe most of all, it was about family. The bond between blood, and the pain that can come when that bond gets twisted by cameras, by politics, by the crown. So, ask yourself, did Harry storm out because he lost the debate? Or did he walk away because he was finally done playing the game? Was this weakness, or was it strength? We want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Was this a meltdown, or a moment of clarity? And if you want more raw, unfiltered moments like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There is more to come.